Well, welcome to my channel Mispronounced Adventures. My name's Alex and welcome to a tool video. This one's working with Creality. Normally on this channel I do collaborations for two reasons. One, to fund the channel, for instance the Arctic trip round 3. New personal record, -38, which you should definitely check out if you're new here to hear about this tool. Wasn't funded entirely by collaborations, particularly 2 power station videos and YouTube's ad revenue for a few months. The other reason I do collaboration videos is to gain a new asset. And that's what I did last year working for Creality on one of their 3D printers, which I've now used extensively on different projects throughout the van, as well as created and printed a few bits for other content creators. This time it's the Creality Falcon2 Pro 22-watt laser cutter and engraver. And just like the 3D printer last time, I have no experience with 3D printers. I've got no experience of a laser cutter engraver, but I've got a few ideas of how I can use it to build things. So just like the last time I worked with Creality, I'm going to show what's in the box, put it together, and I'm going to create something very simple for the van context. So then after the video, I can learn how to use the tool properly and hopefully use it to build and implement things into the new van build I'm planning. So let's get on with it. This is my first experience using them, so very much first time users amateur introduction to using them and assembly. So let's figure out how I'm going to put this together. But what I can tell you is it's got a laser, which is 22 watt, and it's got a 400 by 415 mil work bed, which is actually reasonably substantial size. First off, I need to figure out how I'm going to actually build it in this van. Oh dear. We might need to adjust this camera. Why have I decided to build this in the van? Or it might just fit on my work surface. Well, we've got a base, a thing, and a bunch of other parts as well. Stickers, because who doesn't love stickers? And all these other components, which I need to somehow get out and onto this table. Well, if I get them out, I can then... a tube, probably some ducting. Stickers, sunglasses, not sunglasses, eye protection from lasers. Power cable, I guess the laser engraver module area itself. Bits and bobs and doohickeys. A tube, which I'm sure will become apparent its use later. Pass, but I'm sure I'll learn what it is later on. Little box of tiny screws and components. AC to 24 volt power supply. Rubber, not rubber, foam. Some wood, presumably to do some testing on, to try out. Product manual. Point out that a lot of the assembly is this, it comes with an enclosure, so we will be putting that together. Just see that a good chunk of it actually comes pre-assembled, so that hopefully there shouldn't be too much assembly. Put that back on there whilst I clear some room. Why do I do this to myself? Why am I building it in here? Some sort of light. Looks to be a small camera. Loads of aluminium bars. Oh, that'll be the cut bed. That'll be the, that'll probably be the cutting surface, or the bed it sits on. Another layer. Ventilation. Covers for the side. Appears to be kind of really well packed actually, so hopefully I can now get a bunch of this out of the way and then I can use that work area to actually build the thing. Right, looking at the instructions, we're going to build the canopy. Well, normally build the canopy first, but I want to get rid of this and this just slides in, so we'll put that in first because then it clears space out for me to actually have some working room. There we go. Right, there's some more of the red shields. Excellent. And then we'll now move the camera. Let's get these in. There's spacing. This is funny, I've seen this on quite a few different products I looked at in the past. When they anodize something, some aluminium, and they scratch it easily, they just use a Sharpie to cover up the grey mark. Right, now that that's done, let's actually go to step 1 and not step 13. Right, identify brackets. Bracket fan and bracket light. Use the strip countersunk screws. Right, move the camera now. Push some more screws out. Push some more screws out. Right, well there's the first bit of the frame built. We'll take off the full wrapping later on. Okay, maybe I just slide it in. Oh, you know what, let's just take it all off now. This is really fiddly. Oh, and then put this bar on. More counter head screws. And let's see. Right, one canopy doodad made. Next up, connect the laser. That's adjustable up and down. Put the cables in the buckle. Put the cables. Did I miss a step? Probably. Oh, that's because the silicone tube goes out of there and goes in there. And this goes in here. Well, we're starting to get there. Starting to look lasery. Right, next is getting this on. Cool. Right, what's next? What are those sides? Where are all the screws? I wonder if I can turn it this way. It's a lot easier to... Right, other side then, I guess. Oh no, I've got to plug some stuff in first. Oh no, both sides. Right, need to plug a few things in now. And the fan, which goes here. I presume we can then tuck that in that light and that channel there. I guess the fan is on and off there. Oh, auto on. Auto on. Right, there's the majority of assembly done. Not too difficult really. I need to still put on, I think, the air compressor, it said, which is a separate unit, which makes sense. If it's a compressor, it will vibrate, so I can understand why you don't want it on the machine. And it's associated silicon pipe and power supply. So first, I think I'll go check out the software and figure out where I'm actually going to use this for the demonstration purposes and go from there, really. Right, what am I going to do with the laser cutter and engraver? So the use case I can see for a van, or for me at the moment, is to use it to make control panels simply. So in my cab at the moment, I have a 3D printed control panel, which is what I'm going to keep using. That controls my daytime running lights and their colours, the colours of my main front forward facing beams, and if they're on the high beam or not. If I wasn't doing a 3D printed option, I could do a laser cut control panel. And this is where I can see the beauty of it coming in. Switches and bits and bobs like this, normally you would have to get your drill bit, drill it out and fit it, which is totally fine. And that's how I've done it in the past, but I wanted to appear smart. So I've bought myself some calipers so I can measure all of my components up, get their sizes. And I've drawn myself a little pretend control panel, which we're going to make in software and cut out. So rectangular panel to go in the same slot. Going to cut out pre-cut holes for 2 of these switches, 2 holes for 2 of these switches, and then after that I'm going to engrave the details of what the switches do next to it, and that's how I do a control panel. So let's do that in the software. So here's the software. Creality recommended Lightburn, although there are other softwares which do it, and I've gone for the 30-day free trial. I have no experience with this software apart from watching a 6-minute video about how to do the very basic things, and this is my first attempt. As a first-time user, this software I found was very simple. I've drawn my control panel with the measurements, cut out the holes for the switches, and then use the typeface feature to put in the wording. And when you do that, you end up with 2 lines. When you do that, you can then change them to layers. So I've changed anything blue is my cut layer, so that will be cut out. And anything on my grey layer, which is the wording, will be engraved. Here is the power of the laser versus the speed of the laser. I have absolutely no idea about that, which is fine because on Creality's website it gives you a rundown of recommended settings for different materials. I'm going to cut it out of plywood, and it's going to be 5mm plywood, so I've set the cut layer to 100% power at a speed of 350, and I'm going to engrave 3mm thickness, 35% power at 6000. I don't know how dark that's going to be or what, so I'm sure you can learn a lot more about laser cutting, but for me this has been a very simple project to put together. In my preview window I can play back how my cut lines are going to go, so it's going to engrave first and cut out last. You don't want to cut out first because then you might have the issue of your parts moving around. And it looks like that number at the bottom said it's going to take 10 minutes and 19 seconds to do. Never done it before, so we'll find out. Next up, I need to connect the laser cutter up to this. Well, as I wasn't spacing my van, I've set it up down here. Did a few little bits of assembly, plugged the air pump in, power supply, and it's currently running off a power station. Laptop's down here. It's also got the cable plugged into the laptop, so I can tell it to start and run directly. You can use an SD card as well. And speaking of the SD card it comes with, which goes into a little USB, that has got loads of PDFs and instructions of recommended uses, as well as for lightburn it's got the parameters settings file so you can import it. So far I've set up the laser as far as I'm aware, and opposed to using the nice bit of material they give you, I've got a bit of broken 5mm ply scrap I found, and we're going to cut it into there and see what happens. So it's in the home position. I've also focused it using the adjustment screws and the little adjustment focusing block it comes with. Pump's currently turned on. We're going to frame it to make sure that my design is currently in my cut area. There we go. So just checking that my area I'm going to cut is, so let's put it back to home. Close the lid and press start. It doesn't really look like it's doing much. Well, learning process, and we'll see how it turns out. Well, I'm not entirely sure it's worked the first time since, well, it's not really doing anything. So I started again because that value there was set to millimeters per second, not millimeters per minute, so it was going too fast, so it wasn't actually cutting anything. So we've restarted it, and it looks like it's actually doing something this time around. Well, it's finished. I'm happy with that for a first attempt. A bit smokier than I thought, so I've opened the door. Right, that was about 14 minutes to cut out, and well, I guess let's see if it actually going to do what I wanted, or at least pretend it what I wanted. I feel like measure twice, cut once would have been a better option. How did I get that so wrong? Right, let's go make attempt 2. Right, attempt 2. There we go. That is the main principle of why I wanted to design a little control panel, is so I can make things like that. I personally probably wouldn't want the wood finish. I think I want to have a go at doing something painted and then using the engraver to cut away the surface and the paint, so then you get kind of the contrast finish. But that's the basic principle of what I want. All right, and my dimensions might not be perfectly spot on because that interferes with that, but that was the whole sort of idea, so I could print out control panels to fit wherever I wanted. There's the contrast one, and that definitely looks a lot better. There you go, wipe the cutting dust off. And here's the black version. This is just a quick spray painted a couple layers of black on a bit of scrap ply, and then just ran the same cut again. And you can see the etching makes a nice contrast now because it cuts the black paint away in the top few layers of the ply. That, I think, looks quite good. I mean, I'm not going to use it in the van, but it would look good if you were doing your whole control panel like that. So one of the things I'm doing is setting up the camera, as in the enclosure's got its inbuilt camera, which is part of what it makes it the Pro mode, the enclosure with the camera built in. And I think I'm getting towards the end of the setup wizard for it. So we're going to run this now, which should hopefully cut this pattern out, and then I'll be able to see if it works or not. Well, I probably didn't position it exactly how it should be, but since it's a calibration test for the camera, if they're all on there, that should be enough, hopefully. Right, calibration bit drawn. Next is the next part of the test. So I need to line up all of the corners. Right, that's all the markers in line, so next, and you're done, finish. Right, well, I've finished setting up the camera. Right, so what is the point of the camera? Well, that's currently in there at the minute. It's not a live view, but if I was to put in a different piece of material, let's say the one I did yesterday, and I wanted to, you know, try and make the best use of my material, then I can update my camera view and I'll be able to see where my current planned cut was going. I know there's no material, so I can move it around and make sure I get the right cut in place. So that's about an 8mm bit of wood, and apparently this can do up to 10mm on the right settings. So use the camera to make sure it's all lined up, drawn a square, set it to do at a speed of 120 and power percentage of 100, which is the recommended for cutting what I want. And let's run the program and see if we can cut out that thick wood. I mean, it definitely looks like the laser's making it all the way through. Oh wow, I'm quite impressed with that. I'd say the calibration is pretty close. I'd say it looks a little bit closer on the to the edge than it does on there, but that's probably me setting up the camera poorly. Right, I put a 12mm scrap of ply, which it said it shouldn't do. It only said up to 5mm ply, and I think up to 10mm base wood, as it calls it. Although, let's just try the same settings and see what happens. Right, well, we'll see if it can cut out 12mm ply. It shouldn't. Oh, it's like a laser. What? Okay, well, there you go. It did not cut it through. Popped out the other end. Right, engraving. This is the old channel logo, which I don't really use anymore, but it has been on my stickers. And I've dragged it into here, onto lightburn. I've gone to adjust image. I don't really know what I'm doing, so I've tweaked it a little bit to make it a bit more contrasty, because all this sort of dark detail isn't going to come out very well, I don't think. You can see from just the contrasty areas. You can have a play around with how it's going to come out. I thought I will have a go just at really high contrast first, because I've not engraved before. Picture. Set it up there, it's going to cut it out that bit of wood I did earlier, and let's see how it goes, really. Oh, I might check the recommended settings for engraving into wood. Well, it didn't completely come off, mainly as oh no, there we go. Oh yeah, I maybe missed the alignment. That didn't turn out too bad. So I can definitely see the grain of the wood does massively affect the laser cut finish. Right, that's almost finished, which has not worked that well. So I tried one with the high contrast, one with a bit of a lower contrast to see what the result was doing it on plywood. And yeah, I can see the, well, both of them don't look amazing compared to that one. You know, it definitely seems that a lot of experimenting and playing on my behalf needs to be done for engraving on different materials and cutting different thicknesses and different materials. But, you know, for my first little project of actually something which would be usable, I am quite happy with that. Definitely lots of more learning to be done though. So that might be quite a simple project, and you can do plenty of other things with the unit as well. It doesn't have to just be wood, it can engrave plastics, metals, and also cut some thin plastics and metals. The specs can be found online for it. So as a first little project, I'm quite impressed with that. It took me about 4 minutes to try and learn how to use the software, and it's relatively simple to do. So there's plenty more to learn. They're not just 2D projects, you can make boxes and 3D things to put together as well. I'd be interested to know in the comments, what sort of projects would you use a laser cutter or an engraver for? And that really brings me to the end of this video and this collaboration. Yes, this is definitely not a tool everyone needs, and you can do some things like this by hand. But I like experimenting and finding new ways to do things and finding methods to make different projects easier. So, and a laser cutter and engraver is one that I'm going to use on the new van build. If you want to find out more about the Creality Falcon2 Pro, do have a look at the links in the description below. And as for the channel, if you've made it this far, do consider subscribing to the channel, checking out some of the other content, such as the Arctic videos, which is content like this, funds, or check out some of the links in the description. One of the ones is I work for Roma. I do the electrical design consultations, and you can book into one of those and get support with designing an electrical system for your vehicle, or have an affiliate link for the lithium batteries. I'm also a brand ambassador for Autoterm, a bunch of other links in there as well. But really, I just want you guys to enjoy the content. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers, bye.